The Roush Active Ready Catback exhaust system that we have here today is going to be a great choice for 21 and newer 5-liter F-150 owners out there looking for an extremely high-quality stainless steel system with plenty of bark right out of the box, with the option of adding some adjustability down the road. Now, the Roush here will feature a premium 304 grade stainless steel build throughout, along with the stealthy black dual tips, exiting in the stock location, all for right around the $1,400 price point. So this is an interesting setup from Roush that is essentially one half of their very popular yet very pricey active exhaust system for the F-150. Now, if you're not familiar with what that is, basically it's an exhaust that allows you to control the volume of the system from inside of your truck, which is super convenient and honestly the only system at this time on the site that gives you that flexibility. Now, the only thing the system is missing to complete that fully active portion is the valve that mounts essentially right to the muffler itself here, in addition to all of the electronics and knob, which can also be found here on the site, by the way, for roughly another $800 to $900. But as I mentioned at the top of this video, this is an active ready catback that is still gonna provide plenty of bark right out of the box. So if you're after something that will definitely turn some heads, then this is gonna be one to consider. In fact, breaking out my Wake the Neighbor scale, I have the Roush coming in at a very robust 4 out of 5 on my 1 to 5 or 1 to Wake the Neighbor scale. Now, on top of that volume, I will say it's a very modest tone inside the truck, zero drone while cruising, which certainly does make for a great combination. But honestly, guys, don't feel like you got to take my word for it. Read up on the customer reviews on this one. A lot of great feedback from fellow 5-liter owners out there who have installed the system and have some really good stuff to say about it. Now, before we get away from the sound here altogether in this video, I do want to point out that right out of the box, this is essentially as loud as the system will get. So if you do purchase that additional active exhaust kit here on the site, it's not exactly going to make the system louder per se, but it will give you the opportunity to make the system much quieter thanks to the included valve, knob, and electronics. Now, how it works is that valve will mount on the end of the muffler here, and basically in quiet mode will essentially turn off that portion of the muffler, delivering a more quiet experience. But with that valve fully open, like basically how it is right here, that's when things get loud, and that's when you get that iconic Roush rumble. But now let's move into the construction and what you can expect out of the Roush as far as build quality is concerned. And as I mentioned earlier here, guys, interested 5-liter owners can look forward to a very high quality 304 grade stainless steel build throughout. And if you're not familiar, this is essentially the best material out there in the land of exhaust, especially when we're talking about things like long-term rust and corrosion resistance, and the Roush will absolutely deliver there. Now, outside of materials, you are getting 3-inch mandrel bent tubing here leading into and out of your high flow muffler from Roush before exiting in the factory location out of the dual slash cut tips here. You got a subtle Roush logo at the very end there. Handsome tip, if I may say so myself. And again, this will dump behind that passenger side rear tire. Now, it does include everything needed for the install, including all of your necessary clamps, hardware, all that good stuff. And the Roush is backed by a pretty stout warranty in case you ever need it. Moving into our pricing segment here, guys, and coming in at or around that $1,300 to $1,400 price point, the Roush is certainly going to be on the upper end of the pricing spectrum, even without the additional adjustable valve. But I would argue the Roush is certainly unique in the category, as it is one of the only systems available that delivers that adjustability, so it does bear mentioning. Last but not least, let's touch on the installation here, guys. Site's gonna call it a strong 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you about an hour or so to complete from start to finish. But now to give you a better idea of how this one will go down in the garage or driveway at home, check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you will need a dead blow mallet, impact, a ratchet, an extension, an adapter if necessary, 10 and 17 millimeter swivel sockets, 13, 15, 21, and 24 millimeter sockets, 15 millimeter wrench, a hanger removal tool, a flap wheel and a cutoff wheel or other cutting tool, also a Sharpie and a tape measure, and a second set of hands to help you get your exhaust in and out. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing an exhaust on our F-150, but before we get started, we're going to send you to watch a short video on how to remove your factory setup, and we'll see you when you get back.
Start by grabbing your 13 millimeter socket and undoing the 2 bolts at the flange. Next, take your exhaust hanger removal tool and get the muffler out of the isolator. Next, we're going to slide our exhaust towards the tail end so we can get them out of the 2 additional hangers. And then we're going to drop the whole exhaust as a full. I grabbed a buddy to help me out with that.
Alrighty guys, welcome back. Now that we've shown you how to remove your factory setup, for this particular system, we're gonna need to remove this factory resonated section because it's actually going back on the truck. It's just much easier to remove this as one assembly. But we're gonna need to separate this and mark it out because we will need to cut it down so this new system can fit on here because it slips over this part of your resonated section. So what we're gonna do, grab our 15mm socket on our impact, loosen up this clamp, pop this section off. Now we've got that loose, go ahead and work this section off. Now this might be a little tedious. We'll go ahead and lay this over. These do tend to get a little stuck on here, so we'll go to the end and try to twist it loose. All right, so we've got it turned, and we need to turn it first because there is a locator kind of tab here on the exhaust for our slip joint. So we've got that so it can come freely out. Now again, these tend to get pretty stuck on here over time, especially if your truck has some miles on it. A lot of expansion and contracting, it really just kind of locks onto there. So we've got a dead blow mallet, and we're not gonna beat it to death. We're just gonna go ahead and give it a few taps here, and then tap the resonator and get it to start sliding out. It's gonna help it loosen up. We can put a foot on our hanger to hold that side of our exhaust. We're just gonna tap this back. Once you have it pretty much almost all the way out, you can go ahead and work it out just like that. All right, so now we're gonna need to mark out our cut for our factory resonated section. So the side with the slip joint is the part we're gonna be cutting. We're not gonna mess with our factory flange section over here. So based on the wheelbase and trim model of our truck, according to the install instructions here, we're gonna need to mark out 11 7/16 inches to cut. Now our truck is a Super Crew with a 5.5 foot bed and a 145-inch wheelbase. So based on that, we're gonna go ahead, grab our tape measure and our Sharpie. We're gonna measure from the front of the resonator here. We're gonna come out to 11 7/16 inches. Go ahead and mark that. Now we're gonna mark this in a couple spots around this pipe so we can cut our pipe evenly. That is pretty important. Then, as a personal thing, I like to connect my lines here just to try to keep everything pretty straight. Now you can use whatever cutting tool you have at your disposal, whether that be a cutting wheel or a sawzall or whatever you have, a chop saw, and you want to go ahead and cut that off at the recommended length based on the trim and wheelbase of your truck. So we'll go ahead and do that now. All right, so now we've got our cutting wheel. We're gonna go ahead and cut on our mark here. Now it's important to remember to always wear your PPE. When cutting anything, you want to point your cutting wheel, if you are using one, to the rotation facing away from you and the sparks going down. So now that we have this cut, we'll go ahead and grab our flap wheel and clean up any burrs and sharp edges and anything going on the end of our cut here. This is very important. You don't want to leave any of that stuff in there. It will cause turbulence and modify the sound of your exhaust, and also just a much better fit if you get it cleaned up. Alrighty, so we're back over to our new setup here, and what we're going to do is start assembling our forward section with our muffler. It's going to be much easier to go on kind of as a one-piece setup. If you are going to be installing the active section of this exhaust, this is where you would install your valve and then do your wiring and all that based on the instructions in the kit. However, we are keeping our system passive, so we're going to go ahead and install our double gasket here onto our flange, and then our passive adapter. And we're going to go ahead and install our supplied flange nuts. And we'll go ahead and tighten these down. So now we'll go ahead and grab our 13 mil socket extension on our impact and tighten these bolts down. That's nice and secure. So now we're going to go ahead and put our Y pipe onto our muffler inlet section. So we've got our AccuSeal clamp here, 2.5 inch. It's going to go over our smaller section. You want that in a place where you can access the bolts. And our larger one is going to go on our muffler inlet. We'll go ahead and slide this into place. Now this is a flex pipe, so you can move this back and forth to get the proper fit. You want to make sure that fully seats. Then we're just going to snug these clamps down. We're not going to fully tighten them just yet. So we'll grab our 15 mil socket on our impact, and again, we're just snugging them down. We're not fully tightening them. So now we can go ahead and add in our clamp for our slip joint to our factory resonated section. And we'll go ahead and get our factory resonator slipped on. All right, so now that we have this section in, we're gonna go ahead and put this part on the truck. So we're gonna get our 2 hangers for our muffler into our factory isolators here and line up our factory flange on our resonated section. So now at this time, if you don't feel comfortable lifting this up over your head with just yourself, you wanna go ahead and grab an extra set of hands if you feel the need to do so. So now we'll go ahead and get our flange bolts back into place up here at our factory Y pipe. So we'll line up our flare here. Go ahead and get our bolts back through. We'll reinstall our nut. Now, again, as mentioned in the uninstall, these are not the factory bolts. So to tighten ours down, we'll grab our 17 mil swivel and a extension on our impact and a 15 mil wrench. We'll go ahead and get these both snug and then fully tighten them down. So now we'll go ahead and get our clamp in position on our resonator slip joint section. And we're just gonna go ahead and snug this down for now with our 15 mil socket on our impact. So now we can go ahead and get our tail section installed. So we're gonna grab one of our clamps here, slide that over our tail section slip joint, let that slide down. Then we're gonna go ahead and grab that factory isolator that we pulled off of our old setup. We're gonna install that onto the new hanger first. Go ahead and get that on here. Work that on. We'll go ahead and get our slip joint into place. Make sure that's fully seated. Then we'll go ahead and reinstall our 10 millimeter bolts for this hanger. We'll go ahead and get our hardware in place. Top one in. Then we'll go ahead and tighten those down. So now we'll go ahead and grab a 10 millimeter swivel socket and extension on our impact to tighten these back up. Now we'll go ahead and get our clamp in position. Get that snug down again with a 15 mil socket. So now for our tip, it has an additional hanger here for support. And before we put that on, we're gonna go ahead and loosen up our lower shackle bolt for our leaf springs here, and our hanger is gonna go ahead and slip onto that and mount with this. So we'll grab a 21 mil socket on our impact. Let's go ahead and loosen this up. Now we may need to grab a wrench to grab onto the nut on the back side here. So now we'll grab a 24 millimeter socket and a ratchet and go ahead and get onto the nut on the back side of our shackle bolt and go ahead and loosen that up just a little bit more. We're not fully removing it. Just want enough room to slide in our bracket. So now we're gonna go ahead and grab a clamp and slide that onto our tail section here. Then we'll grab our tip. Now we've gone ahead and sprayed that with some lubricant and our hanger adapter here. Go ahead and get that onto our hanger rod. Go ahead and install our tip. Now this is gonna be a little bit tricky. You wanna slide this up into there, as well as get this onto your slip joint. You may need to rotate this a little bit. And once we have it on here, we'll go ahead and get our bracket in place. Now we'll go ahead and tighten our shackle bolt back down. Now we'll go ahead and get our tip clamp in place. We're going to fully tighten this down, and then we'll go back and tighten the rest of our clamps down. Again, with our 15 mil socket on our impact. Now we'll tighten down our over axle clamp. And we'll tighten down our 2 inlet clamps for our muffler. Followed by a resonator outlet clamp. And our 2 flange bolts are already fully tightened down. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up our review and install of our Roush Active Ready single exhaust system with black tips and side exit for your 21 to current 5-liter F-150, excluding the tremor. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.